There's no light in the front. I don't know if it's recording for sure.
Okay, we'll call the special town board meeting, our town board together Thursday, August 28th, 2025 at 6 p.m. We're located at W1125 Highway 106, Palmyra Town Hall. Certification of compliance with open meetings law.
Yes, the agenda was timely posted.
Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first thing I'd like to say before we start, I'd like to make a motion to, at 7 p.m., vote on items 3 and 2, because I have a meeting to go to at 7:30. Discuss them, then after that, go back to the budget. So I'm making that motion.
Could we do a roll call first?
I just do it first? Okay, sorry, roll call.
Kayowski?
Here.
Martins?
Here.
Sauber?
Here. Just doing first. What do you think?
It might be helpful to work through some of the budget.
Environment.
Okay. So I need a second on that? Second. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, let's start with motion passed. Let's start with budget. Here we go.
Setting the table for a handful of things in the presentation behind you, as well as what Michelle printed out. So far, I have obviously 23 actuals we started with. 24 has been input as of the audit presentation probably 2 weeks ago. There are some adjusting journal entries that I want to work through with Michelle that the auditors had provided to the town. Ultimately, it changes the category in which expenses or cash flow are going to land in versus where they may be sitting right now, but it's not going to change the end ball number that we had from 24, if that kind of makes sense. So, I've also got all of our 2025 January through August actuals. When we get to the September meeting and we have the September payables approved, I will update this to say January through August, because there is an October through December estimated column as well. That's the titles that sit on the other side.
So what's the title of the column, just under 2,649?
2025 estimated total. So your
Full
column,
year.
yep. So your column should say 23, starting from the left, 23 actual, 24 actual, 25 January through August.
Actual?
Yes.
Okay.
25 October to December estimated.
Okay.
Estimated 25 total.
Okay.
25 budget.
Yep. Percent
of budget.
Yep.
26 proposed.
Great.
So, yes, September is missing. That's on purpose, more so from my standpoint, because the next time we meet, we're going to have more or less what September is updated. So, the actuals for 25 are the actuals for 25, like I said. The estimates, some of these I still have to go through, and like the fire and EMS payment is going to be the next quarterly installment. The auditor, the remainder payout for the auditor is going to be whatever the contract and other engagement was. So there's half of these are kind of knowns that just need to be filled in for what the next quarterly allotment is.
So you're saying for the 2025 estimated total, not everything's filled in yet?
Correct. Those estimated totals reflect the January through August actuals. Those numbers are exactly the same.
Well, wouldn't that be January, August, and October, December? Wouldn't the estimated total be what we are estimating right now?
Correct, but I don't, if you notice, this entire column is empty with the
I
estimates.
don't know this because that's not.
It's this.
Right, even though that's empty.
Yep.
We don't have an estimated total for the year end yet?
No, this is our first meeting. I haven't gotten that far.
I just assumed that we were running thing and keep.
We haven't. So in this case, if you wanna look at my, maybe it's easier for you to look at my screen. on this side, but there, go to size. So if I put in $5,000 right here, it changes that to say 50.
Yeah, I get that.
Okay, just to make sure we're kind of.
I get that.
So that's kind of from a background standpoint, that's where things are at. You'll be able to essentially use the estimated total and the January through August actual as the same number. The budget next to it obviously just kind of represents where we are so far, percent line item.
Okay, let me jump in.
Yep.
Just another quick question for clarity. January to August column.
Yep.
September to December column. Okay.
Yep.
Is the September to December, once you fill it in, gonna be just those 4 months? And then you add that to January to August to get the estimated total?
Yes.
Or is it gonna be the October to December column, once you have that, it's year to date, everything?
Two different things to add to the third column. So we'll see where we are so far this year, what we're estimating to the year end, and then what that total becomes at the end.
So this truly will be a 3 or 4 month column.
Correct.
And you add the two together to get the estimated total.
Absolutely. Yep. Yep. So far?
So you wanna go to start moving down the list, right, with the figures?
So a couple of things that I wanna, because it is on here for discussion later on. If you look at the 2025 budget for revenue, and you go to account 49,100, which is proceeds from debt. Sorry. Proceeds from debt. Because this is part of the conversation for later tonight, when we did the budget for 2025, this is our working draft from the 2025 budget for proceeds from debt, which was $185,000. Yes.
You're changing this, that's not
Yep.
included.
I know.
I'll just move it again.
That's all right,
I'm not gonna sit with my back. We,
Want me to slide a little bit more?
we have talked about that in the past, and I'm not gonna sit with my back.
So,
No, we're fine right here. I would suggest for the next meeting though, we turn the table this way and structure the chairs. That way we can sit along the sides and everybody can see it. So if we turn the table for one meeting, I think we're gonna go. We'll muddle through tonight. Sorry.
So the 185 and the 225 represented two projects. 185 was the Farmer bill,
We're looking at proceeds from debt still.
for 2025. The 378,000, this is 25's budget, so bear with me. The formula that was in that cell was 185,000 plus 225,000. minus 31,145, okay? So the 185 was what we thought was going to be left of the farm scope by the end of '24 that they would have to complete in 2025. The 225 was the amount that we anticipated being the Tamarack Road project, and then this negative 31,145.50, excuse me, is the Eldrick reimbursement that we'll get from the state once we submit all the paperwork.
You're going short or small, Josh. I'm not seeing the evidence.
If you look, oh, yeah, sorry.
Very good.
So proceeds from debt, right? That cell, or you can have a comment in there, that 31,145.50 was from Eldrick, the reimbursement part of it. I know we've had a couple of different conversations about whether or not we anticipated issuing debt service in 2025 beyond the 600,000. And that is essentially the basis of where I have been coming from for those meetings, that we had anticipated taking 265, 267 in 2024, and then another 185 out of that line of credit, plus the 225 for Tamarack Road.
Or another way, the 378, if you add the 140, 150 we did take in '24, that brings us up to 5.25 basically, which leaves the remaining 75, 85,000 that we said in the last meeting was one of the options to clear that out and start new. We'll go ahead and take that. So
Yes.
I think I'm with it.
So realistically, the cell next to it is 334, is exactly what, between these two numbers, 378, 855, and the 334, all I did was it took 600,000 minus what we anticipated we were going to draw in 2024, and that's the remnant, if you want to call it that. And of that, obviously, we've got more than 334 to pay for, which is why we left it with that $85,000 delta, one way or the other. What ended up ultimately happening is they only did, I think, $17,000 worth of work in 2024, which is why more of that loading right now is the 273 that we pulled this year, rather than 185, because there's a $90,000 difference between what we thought they were going to get done last year and what they actually ended up doing this year.
I thought we actually paid out 140, 150 last year.
No. No. So here's 2024. This is one of the, somehow I actually forwarded that. I know it's in here. We had a little bit of chip sealing that we did with Barner, and then we had North Blue Spring Lake Drive, or the two that came in here. For paving projects last year that we did.
Blue Spring Lake Drive.
Correct, sorry, yes. You are correct. Are we kind of on the same page so far?
Basically, we,
Much easier to have it back than it is.
So, it's not really. Let's see what happens. This is one of the ones I gotta talk to you about as far as those adjusting technologies from here.
everybody's here for the budget meeting? Town budget or the airport?
Airport.
That starts at 7:30 next door.
7:30.
Thanks. All right.
You can stay.
So, moving things kind of along. Late last week, I think it was, we got the new equalized value amount for the town, which I actually did include down at the bottom here. Okay, so the equalized value from the town, this is gonna come into play with the fire EMS piece, and I've also got the same thing set up for the equalized value for the village. Because I have a feeling that we're gonna revisit this multiple different times over the next couple of weeks.
I'm sure you're ready.
Talked with Michelle on Monday or Tuesday of this week, and we're gonna work together and start drafting on the levy limit worksheet, so that we have what is usually one of the most important numbers, which is general property tax line item,
How much did our equalized value?
9%.
Really?
Yeah. So, I put in as a safekeeping space the 2025 levy amount for general property tax in 26 for the time being until we figure that out, just as a starting point.
Which line you're on?
Second one down from the top. General property tax, 41,110 account.
All the way to the right.
That's gonna be obviously more than that, but to include two things. Number one, the debt service amount, again, the levy limit worksheet includes existing debt service, adjustments for net new construction during the prior year, and then any new debt that's issued prior to or above and beyond the year prior. So when we start looking at 2026, our expense all the way down at the bottom of the page here for debt service on the expense side. This is going to be directly reflected by decisions 2 and 3 tonight, which after that's done, then we can formalize that. The remaining big ticket item, quite frankly, there's sort of three or four pieces that I want to hit on the expense side of things. As of today, we all got this email from the village about $488,668.
Which makes no sense, because they're multiplying this number by the same number to get this figure. Gives you the same number, and if it's the same calculation, why is it the same as this?
This is not accurate, so let me switch over to that, as long as we're talking
Because,
about.
look, $1,024,000, right?
That's their total budget.
$1,024,000.
Yep.
47.7, 47.7, yet they have this going up $74,000, yet it's the same calculation, unless they changed the, well, they didn't, so, I don't know why, based on this formula, this number should be exactly the same as that, based on this calculation, because it's the same one they made here.
So what I don't know, I emailed Paul and I asked him for, because he gave us the breakdown for the town run calls in the September to October period, or October to September period, I should say, right?
We need to verify that.
In between time, what we need to do is to get the village's call numbers to be able to put together the total number of calls, because it doesn't outline that, it outlines the town side of this only.
Yeah.
The other thing that at some point, potentially next Thursday, is that we don't know because there's no total for the number of calls. We don't know what the village's amount is, and we don't know how they're, or if they're even including these 7 mutual aid calls, but 5 of them were given and 2 of them were received. We can argue about that next Thursday, but if they're including 7 calls, they were already on these 2 calls and asked for more help. They didn't vote somewhere because of it that we weren't already. So I asked for the village's call numbers, okay? The big picture of things.
And I also asked them for their document like this, just for the section for the fire and EMS. Because I want to see all of their expenses, not again what they're saying is the bottom line. So far, for some reason, they're not giving it to us.
Yeah.
But that's
So
for Thursday.
when looking at this number, and here's what we all have to work through and figure out, right? They've got 82 calls for service, which is exactly what Penny had emailed us 6 weeks ago. We had 82 calls for service. So it would be nice if the entire formula would have been included in this, or the village's statistics. But the fact that this is 82 and this is 82, I would be super surprised if we ran 82 calls 2 years in a row. And not 81 or 83 or 104 or 13 or whatever. So I'm pretty sure that they're using this information from 6 weeks ago.
And why are they included? Given means we sent ours out. Received is we got mutual aid from other areas. Why would anybody pay for mutual aid from other areas?
That's our discussion for next week.
That is a thought-provoking point for next week. What they ended up with is 47.7%, okay? Keeping with theory. When using the not new, why don't we just plug this in as long as we're doing this? Equalized value, budget, down 5. So the village is 205,875, 205,875, 205,875, 205,875. 205,875. Okay? And
We have twice the valuation. That's up.
414.
It wasn't like 70,000. It just seems like it's up. Or we're double that. More than double.
So if this number works out, so let me do a rough number. So let's do this and actually. Those numbers don't match. So yes, theoretically, the town has twice the valuation as the village. Okay. 23 population. That's actually not 23, that would be 24. Actually, that would be 25 estimate.
That's sad, the village graduated from high school is 15 something. That's all it's grown.
It's actually lost almost 100 people in the last 5 years.
The village?
In 1786 and 2015.
Or was 17.
What's the
I
sound?
thought so, yeah.
It's hard to increment like percent. So if we run down, this number here is really similar to that one. So I think that even though this is presented kind of shabby and missing some pockets of information, I think this number is realistically, if we use call volume, equalized value, and population, very close, 47.6, 47.7. Depending on who's rounding and how all it's, I cannot come back to get these back to 3-digit decimal places to make 33.333, actually round to 100, because it was just 33 and we're 1% short. So that may be where the extra 10 comes from.
Is there another decimal point where they round it up? 47.6 something, 47.7.
But these are
Well,
set.
still would have rounded up at 164. Potentially.
I mean, we're getting further away.
Right.
So I'm not sure exactly, but we're.
But coming to an agreement on the formula, that is a big part of our negotiations with the village. Okay.
Yeah.
But the part that we don't have the detail on yet is where do they get the $1,024,000? And that's where we need this line item detail, so we can question where they're spending the money and why it went up $300,000 over last year.
My guess is it's two full-time employee positions because they're saying in this thing somewhere. First of all,
Two full-time employees isn't $300,000.
the wages and benefits is. Plus this one. I don't know if this is a full-time position.
So there's between a deputy chief and assistant chief.
One's named Mike and the other one's named Dan. Aside from that, I don't know. But I mean, that's $120,000 that I'm not entirely sure was included in the 2025 budget. I don't know that to be true or false or not. I'm not arguing.
No, I know, let's save our angst on that for next week.
Right. So, knowing that we're actually mildly somewhere close, even though this look, the way this is multiplied doesn't entirely present well to be able to understand it, plus the verifying numbers and whatever else. The other thing is that our existing contract, our existing draft contract, does not include, is not based on an annual set of calls for 2024. It's a split between October of one year and September of the next, not January to December.
Right.
Whether we use one or the other, I don't know that it entirely matters, but the way that that contract is currently set up, excuse me, is that it is not a calendar year, is it as the way that these numbers are presented. So we need to verify one way or the other, the language changes to make the calendar year on call numbers, or what are the new numbers instead of 151 and 8? Nonetheless, taking that and sticking that number into the budget, I've got 488,688 currently as a placeholder, kind of like the tax stuff. Okay?
What line is that?
It is
What was the code?
515. Fire and EMS protection.
You got one in there?
488,688.
Mine says 250, 178.
He just changed it. He's working with it.
This is actually 486,668. 37, not 68. So.
Well, that's the,
That's the, that's, generally okay as of where we sit.
Well, right now, you're gonna go line for line here, so we can talk about each one.
I mean, we can start filling some of these in as we go, or have conversations about it.
I heard dog licenses down, people just not licensing their dogs or what? And then we bite somebody, then they're gonna be in quarantine for 10 days, I think.
This has been slowly declining.
do we have records of, for this, do we have records of who licensed dogs last year and who this year, that we can send a communication to and plan to warn them that. So we know who has licensed, and we know who did last year, so we know by math, we know who hasn't really registered their dogs.
This kind of.
You have that, plus you have a book by the door in case
So
anyone.
can we send them a letter saying you haven't registered your dog and have them give us feedback on whether the dog, they still have the dog or not? I mean, we're not talking a lot of money, but
You can.
it's not fair to the people who do register now. And to his point, it's not fair safety wise.
Cheaper way to do it is this year, we'll put it in taxes. But we'll put a notification in there what the consequences are if you don't register, so on and so forth, and see if you can switch back on that. Anyway.
Where are we at?
So,
Back to revenue now?
yeah, I'm just gonna kind of start at the top here. And I'm more so looking at the budget percentage column. Obviously, dog licenses are down. General property tax, we still do have, we have to record the payment that was made a week ago. It's not showing up through August because we ran it.
I'm
Correct?
sorry, which people was that?
Property tax, the county installment.
I did report it. Did not show up on reporting yet. The 206,000.
Correct. I think we're still, I'll say short on paper that amount.
That's 206,000.
206,400.
Sliding down, zero budget, zero, special assessment for tax or trash, I'm sorry. We're at 99.7%, so we're pretty damn close with the estimate on that. State shared taxes, I know that also is an item that we got more coming in for. We also have to do a journal entry in the other state shared taxes, just to kind of sum up. Actually, we don't. I think this one just ended up more than where we were.
What did you call number? Sorry, I can't read it. It's a woman place.
43, 430.
Thank you.
Recycling, we were $1 short on our budget, but we got our revenue there. Payment for municipal service, we were, call it $16 under budgeted, so we're good there. The conservation number, I want to look at with Michelle a little bit, as well as drilling back down into the transaction level detail, because it is much more this year.
What is it there, 37?
37,518.
Well, Kincaid's gotta come into play with some of that.
Yeah. So
It wasn't that much money, Frank.
it wasn't the additional part of it. So this is going to be a check back. All the ones that are pink are ones that I want to drill back into as we go through some of this, right? GTA, we've got one more quarterly payment coming. So being at 75% budget makes sense. The highway and bridge account, 31,146 is the LRIP payment reimbursement, I should call it. So when that comes back in, we'll realize that right now,
Will we get that this year?
hopefully so, yes. They were anticipating about 2 months from the time the paperwork